In today's video, we continue my 3-part series on how to refinish edges and heels. We've got the toughest project yet, a pair of casual Baron Dorites that have really been taken through the ringer.
I'm Kirby Allison, and I love helping the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes. Join me as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition.
Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and in today's video, we continue our 3-part series on edge and heel care. It's always been my position that edge and heel care is that final frontier of shoe care that really brings a shoe together and makes it look amazing. So in today's video, we continue our 3-part series with what is going to be the toughest refinishing job of the lot, and that is my casual pair of Baron Dorite tassel loafers from George Cleverly. This is a ready-to-wear pair of shoes. I love wearing these on the weekend, out with the family and the kids, with no socks and a pair of shorts. And as you can see, these have really gone through a lot of tough use. They've actually been sitting in my closet. I've been avoiding even wearing them because of how bad the edges and heels are. So in this video, we're going to do our most extensive refinishing yet. Now, just a reminder, this is part of a series. In our first video, we started with a very simple kind of daily routine edge and heel care maintenance protocol that is quick and easy to follow. And then the second video, we took it up a notch with a pair of Allen Edmonds that needed a little bit more work. We introduced some more product. And then finally, in today's video, we are doing a complete and extensive refinishing of these shoes, the edges and heels. That's gonna make them look completely different. Now, just a reminder, everything that I use in today's video, of course, is available exclusively on KirbyAllison.com. This is how we support this channel. So if you need any Saphir shoe polish to take care of your shoes, please visit us at KirbyAllison.com. Of course, we don't have just shoe polish. We've got the largest collection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care products in the world, as well as other great clothing accessories like this sovereign grade dark navy ancient matter tie I'm wearing in today's video. Of course, if you're new, please hit that red subscribe button so that you can join us here on Kirby Allison as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Okay, since it's going to be a long video, I kind of want to give you the overview before we get started. So first, as you can see, these edges and heels are particularly dirty. Right here, I've got some dirt, some mud on here that's dried, and these have just really been neglected. And so the first thing I'm going to do is to really clean them using the Saphir leather soap. This is the leather cleaning soap. It's an absolutely great product that you can use to shampoo the entire shoe, but here I'm just going to use it for the edges and heels. After that, as you can see, the edges are really rough and need to be sanded down. So I've got some 200 grit sandpaper right here that I'm going to use to resand these edges just to smooth it out. Now, whenever we do that, we're gonna pull off any of the previous dye. So after we're done, we need to use an alcohol-based leather dye to really re-dye and resaturate that. Think of this as the primer. That's what's gonna provide that lasting color. Now, I've got 2 different colors of the Teinture Francaise here because I kind of want to play around with this. I've got a medium brown and a dark brown. And so I'm thinking, you know, on this shoe, I just want to play around. I'll probably go with the dark brown, but we'll check out the medium brown and see what that looks like. After we re-dye the edges, then what we're going to do is to fully saturate them with pigment using the Saphir Pommadier cream polish. This tutorial really intersects and joins up with our first tutorial because everything after this point is really basic maintenance, where you'd use a Pommadier cream polish to add that color saturation and soft shine before finishing off with the Saphir Mirror Gloss to really bring up the shine and give it a little bit of a pop. So that's what we're gonna be doing in today's video. Of course, if you have any questions about anything I'm doing, please ask them in the comments section below while you're watching. I enjoy getting back to as many of those questions as possible. So first, we really need to clean these shoes. They're dirty, without question. And so I'm going to be using the leather cleaning soap for that. So I've got our leather cleaning soap right here. It comes with a nice little sponge applicator, but to be totally honest, I prefer to use one of our large horsehair cleaning daubers. As you can see, this is quite large and generous in its dimensions, and this is really a great accessory to have as part of your shoeshine kit. You can use it with the Saphir Omni'Nettoyant, which is a Suede shampoo. You can use it with the leather cleaning soap. It's just a great dauber to have whenever you're shampooing. So So I've got a bowl of water here. This needs to be wet. If you're at home, you know, maybe you're doing this over your sink, but we're in the office, so here we are. Okay, so getting some of the leather cleaning soap on here, and so I'm just going to gently kind of shampoo and clean that. Now, it's not that big of a problem that it's getting on the suede. The leather cleaning soap is a gentle product, and so all we'll do is we'll wipe that off and we'll be fine. If you wanted to take this as an opportunity to clean the entire shoe, you could easily use this Saphir Omni'Nettoyant, and of course that would do the trick on the edges and heels also. So there we go. I've got some paper towels here. Here we are, edges and heels. I mean, pretty clean. We're gonna, of course, get them even cleaner once we start sanding, and that is our next step. So let's start with the right shoe. I've just got some 200 grit sandpaper. I mean, really even 150 grit would be fine. You could start off with something a little bit rougher to really get it going, and then finish with a finer grit if you wanted to. But I've got just a 200 grit sandpaper here. Now these are a really beautiful high-end pair of shoes from George Cleverly. These are their Baron de Reedy, an absolutely beautiful buckskin tassel loafer. And so one of the things I just want to draw your attention to here is the small indentations that run along the edge of the heel, the fudging, right? This is worn a little bit over the years, but as I sand, I'm going to try to avoid from kind of sanding that off, right? So I'm going to stick to the bottom part of the heel. I'm going to continue around the edge. It's really not much you have to worry about the edge here. Now you can see that these shoes really have been well worn. I don't even know how long I've had them, but I know that they've gotten a lot of use. And to be completely honest, these might be kind of approaching the end of the lifetime of these soles, and are probably really good candidates for being sent in to be resold anyway through our Kirby Allison Certified Shoe Restoration Program. At a minimum, you can see that the top lift on the heel is starting to separate a bit. So if you didn't want to replace the full outsole, which in this case I'd recommend it, you could just send it in to have the top lifts done. But again, it's a little bit outside the scope of this video. We're gonna go ahead and refinish these edges and heels anyway to show you just how big of a difference that we can make. One other bit that I'll point out is in terms of assessing whether or not the shoe needs to be sent in to be resold. I just kind of want to point it out here. The best way to test is to press on the outsole at the ball of the foot. And you can see how this is no longer really firm to the touch, and you can really kind of press into it. Now, that is a clear indication that these outsoles have really reached the end of their lifetime. It's even more pronounced on the left foot, and you would expect that because as you get in and out of the car, you're always pivoting on the left foot, and so the outsole of the left shoe is always prone to increased wear. So to be completely honest, after we're done with this, I'm probably gonna send these in to be resold. But let's not let that stop us. Let's get started. So I've got some 200 grit sandpaper, and I'm just gonna get started sanding this. You can see this really does produce a large amount of fine particle leather dust, so it might be something you want to do outside, otherwise it's going to get messy. And you can also see how we're really pulling the finish off, so this is why we have to re-dye that heel using the alcohol-based leather dyes, is to reprime it, if you will, to fill in that background color in a very permanent way, which the leather dye does, so that as they are worn, you don't see the edge and heel finish wearing off. Here we are. I mean, the point is not to go crazy. Bespoke shoemakers actually use a broken piece of glass to do this process because it creates, the smoothest possible edge. But really, this is totally fine. As I said earlier, you could take it up a notch with an even finer grit sandpaper, but I think that the 200 grit is plenty fine here. So let's just compare the right shoe to the left one. Again, we haven't done anything on this left shoe, and you can see how the edge and heel is just rough to the texture. You can see just over time how this is, really just been worn. This is nothing more than just normal wear and tear, if you will, but it's going to make the edge rough to the touch. And then also, once you go to shine this, because it is a rough surface, it's not going to produce a nice shine, and so that's why you really want to get this smooth. Okay, so actually what we're going to do here, just to help expedite this process a little bit, is we're going to go ahead and dye the edge here so that this right shoe can be drying while I'm working on the left shoe. So let's just do something real quick. I've got my high shine water dispenser. I'm just going to tap a little bit of water on this just so that I can buff any of that fine particles kind of off of the edge. So I've given it a little bit of thought, and I think that in fact I'm going to use the dark brown here because it is a darker brown suede. I do want the edge darker than the leather itself, right, as opposed to lighter. So this is one of the great things about using the Saphir products for edge and heel care, is that you just have a large option of palettes, right? So most edge dressings are available in two colors, a brown and a black, but that is not the case here whenever you're using shoe polish to refinish your edges. So we've got brown, we've got dark brown, we've got light brown, we've got black. So all the products that you need really are available. It comes with a small little applicator. I'm going to set that there. You want to be careful with the alcohol-based leather dye because this is permanent. So spill this on your desk or spill this on a table and you will be in trouble and regret it. So I've just got some here. Again, less is more. And here you're just going to apply it to the edge and the heel. It soaks right in. You don't have to worry about not doing it evenly because this dries even. But you do want to be careful not to get this on the actual upper because again, since this is permanent, if you get this onto the upper, you're toast. You're not going to be able to get that out easily. So if you're really worried about it, one of the things that you can do is line the edge of the upper with some masking tape to kind of help protect it, or you can just be careful. So I especially want to apply this at the front of the toe. Again, this is the area of the shoe that, or the area of the outsole that is most prone to discoloration because most of us men drag our toes just a little bit. Okay, so there we go. Nice application. Again, we're going to come back on top of this with the Pommadier cream polish. So it's not essential. It's never going to look fully saturated. It's always going to look a little dull, a little transparent, but that is just the nature of the product. Okay, so as I stated earlier, it really is important to allow this time to dry. Saphir actually recommends an hour. But in 20 to 30 minutes, this should be completely dry. So I'm going to set this over here, being careful to make sure that I'm not getting any of it on my desk. And while the leather dye is drying there, I'm going to work on sanding the edges of the left shoe. Exact same process as the right. Okay, so I've just finished sanding the left shoe. I dyed it with the Teinture Francaise, or the alcohol-based leather shoe dye. And now I've allowed that, a good hour, I went to lunch, to dry on both of these shoes. So it's not wet to the touch, it's not tacky, so we are ready to move on to the next step. So this is where this tutorial, this advanced tutorial, really intersects and joins up with the first video that we filmed, which was really just an everyday protocol for how to care for your edges and heels. So there's two products that we're going to use as a part of our edge and heel care, and this is really different than what you see on a lot of the other shoe shine channels out there, in that instead of a dedicated edge dressing or something like the Renovating Repair Cream, actually what we recommend here at Kirby Allison is using a pigmented cream polish like the Saphir Pommadier cream polish. Now the reason I prefer a cream polish versus a dedicated edge dressing product is really the availability of colors. With most edge dressings that are commonly available, it's available in either a black or a brown, and you know, there's just not many options there. And so what I love about using the Saphir Pommadier cream polish is you have access to their full palette of pigments, which is over 16 different colors. Secondly, I find that the cream does a better job really saturating the color while at the same time preserving that natural kind of leather texture there. If you use anything that's too thick or that's resin based, it's basically like oil paint. You know, you don't see any of the layers of how the heel is built up. You don't really, you're not able to appreciate, you know, really any of the nuance of a fine leather outsole. And then we use a mirror gloss, which is that hard wax polish to bring up the shine. Now this step's really easy. I've got two colors here, a medium brown, and I'm actually going to use the Havana brown instead of the dark brown. This is a little bit lighter than the dark brown, which I think will really work well with these shoes. And this is a great example of being able to use those different pigments to achieve exactly the results that you want. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply this using my finger. And we're gonna apply it, you know, rather generously, again, because this is a pretty rough edge compared to the smooth calfskin of an upper. And so we just really want to kind of work this into the edge. Now again, you want to be careful not to get it on any of the upper as much as you can while still applying a generous application. And because the coat inevitably or inherently is going to be thicker, it is important to allow this more time to dry than your average coat of cream polish on the leather uppers of a dress shoe. Let's take this around to the front again. Very important on the front of the shoe. This is always the edge that is going to discolor the most. This in the right heel, driver's heel. As you are driving your car, the right heel again is always worn down more than the left because of how you pivot your shoe. You're gonna apply using medium to firm pressure. You do wanna work this into the leather. Okay, so we've got that right shoe done. Again, this is going to require a little bit of time to dry. So I'm just going to take this off at the bottom of the shoe and then set this to the side while I work on the left. Okay, so we have got the Pommadier cream polish applied to the edge. Now again, as I said, because it's a thick coat and you want that, you especially want to pick up as many of those softer waxes as possible. I'm going to allow this a good 5 to 10 minutes to dry. Again, we want those waxes to completely set before we buff it off. Okay, so we've allowed the Pommadier cream polish a little bit of time to dry. It's no longer kind of tacky to the fingers. And next we're gonna buff it off. Now, my preference is to use a Pig Bristle Brush for edge and heel care. Because it's a stiffer bristle, I find that it just does a better job really buffing the excess polish and waxes off and then buffing it to a high shine. Now, if all you have is a horsehair brush, that'll work fine also. You know, to be totally honest, you could even take a chamois with a little bit of water and just really buff it really quickly. That'll really light it up to a nice high shine, but it's gonna take a little bit of elbow grease to get the initial buildup off. Another point of note is that you'll see here that this is a suede pair of shoes, so I wanna be very careful whenever I'm buffing this not to buff into the suede. We really want to avoid that. After we're done, I'm gonna have to kind of brush this suede anyway. So you want to avoid buffing up because you can get some of the residual shoe polish transferring onto the uppers. Here in this case in the suede, but if you have like a light brown or a brown pair of shoes, you could get that polish actually onto the upper. It's not the end of the world, especially whenever it comes to something like a calfskin. You could just really polish over it, would be fine. But as much as you can avoid it, why not with a little bit of work? So what I'm gonna do is instead, I'm gonna polish sideways and then at kind of an angle so that I'm not going into the upper. So you'll see that here. Okay, first let's start with the heel. Brushing down. Now you can immediately see why it is that I love using the Pommadier cream polish for edge dressing. I mean, just after one pass, I haven't even used the wax yet, the hard wax mirror gloss. We've got a nice shine, right? You can still see the natural kind of texture of the heel stack. Those are all characteristics that for me are very important. One coat of the cream polish, and I mean, this is pretty good. I know we can certainly do better with the mirror gloss, but again, you can just see how effective this is. It's a much smoother finish. It doesn't have any of that rough texture that we had before. That's because we sanded it, and it is certainly coming to a nice shine. It's fully saturated color. There's no unevenness. It's not discolored. So pretty happy with the results. Now next, again, I'm gonna do this now before I buff the cream polish off the left shoe just to allow this time to dry, is to apply the mirror gloss. Now, I'm a big fan of the mirror gloss. I helped develop the mirror gloss with Saphir. This was an idea that I guess I just developed over my travels, kind of meeting with different glissage artists like in and around Paris, who used to open their pâte Deluxe up and allow it to dry out over the course of 2 weeks before they would use it for mirror shines. The idea is that the pâte Deluxe has a pretty high concentration of solvents. It's kind of a wet polish. It's great because it really penetrates into the leather, but it makes it very difficult to build up that foundation of hard waxes. The mirror gloss is exceptionally hard. It's got a high concentration of those hard waxes and a low concentration of those solvents. This is the reason it cracks so easily. All you have to do is just push it back down, but it allows you to build up those hard waxes much more easily. So I'm gonna apply this generously. I'm using a chamois, and this is the dark brown. There's not a Havana brown, and the pigment's pretty transparent, so it didn't really matter that much anyway, but you could use a neutral if you wanted to. And I'm going to simply apply this onto the edge and heel. And again, you want a generous application because you want this to really kind of fill in any unevenness in the actual leather. If you catch a small little piece, it's like a small little bit, that's always nice, because if you can control that, you can really get a nice thick application pretty easily. Just like with the cream polish, since we are being quite generous in our application here, you're going to want to allow more time for this to dry than if you were just applying it to the uppers. I'm applying it with our Wellington High Shine Chamois. This is an exceptional chamois. Okay, so almost done here. Okay, great. So just like with all things wax, you could apply as many coats as you wanted. I mean, you could mirror shine the heels if you wanted to. On a nice pair of black cap-toe Oxfords, I'd suggest that. Something like this, which is a more casual shoe, I just want those hard waxes, to give it that baseline shine. And again, those hard waxes also help protect and really just even out the finish of the shoe. So we're gonna set this one aside, allow that to dry, and then I'm going to buff the cream polish off this left shoe. Okay, great. So again, pretty good work here. And just like with the right shoe, the next step is applying those hard waxes. So I'm taking out my High Shine Chamois, twisting it around my fingers. I like to grip it just with my thumb, kind of hold it with my, my ring finger. And then again, you really have to kind of press into this mirror gloss. It's quite a hard wax. Pick up a nice generous application, and we are going to apply this to the heel and the edges. Okay, let's take a look at this left pair of shoes. I like to just feel the waxes with my fingers. If it feels tacky or gummy to the touch, you can allow it a little bit more time to dry. So why don't we give this a few more minutes, and then we'll buff it off and see what we have. Okay, so now is my favorite part, and this is the final buff of that mirror gloss that's really gonna light it up. So why don't we get started? I'm using the same Pig Bristle brush to do this that we buffed the cream polish with. And again, look at that. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it sure does look beautiful from here. I mean, again, look at how that just lights up. I mean, those are the hard waxes in that mirror gloss. And, you know, I mean, it's a pretty good looking heel right here. So. All right, so let's look at these beautiful edges and heels and see what we have. Nice shine, even finish, great even color saturation. And again, this is looking great. One of the things that I really love is, again, you can kind of see the natural layers of this heel stack because it's not like a painted on edge dressing. Again, with the transparency and translucency that you get with a good cream and wax polish, we're able to really kind of maintain this. So there we are. I mean, completely refinished. And I have to say, these shoes are looking excellent. Now the suede could be brushed a little bit, so I'll probably do that next to get these things really looking great. But otherwise, I'd say total transformation of the edges and heels of this shoe. And you can see the before photographs that we have, roughed up, dirty, uneven finish, especially at the toes. And then look at the after effect that we have, you know, with the totally renewed finish, the even color saturation, and the nice soft shine. These are some beautiful edges and heels. Now these are some buckskin suede shoes. So, you know, we'd go for a little bit more of a casual aesthetic, but just imagine how great those edges and heels would look on a black pair of cap-toe Oxfords with a nice mirror shine on the toe and just an absolutely beautiful high gloss shine to the edge and heels. Again, that's the final touch. It's the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top of the sundae that really finishes off your shoe shine. Just a reminder, all the products that I used in this video, of course, can be purchased at KirbyAllison.com. And if you haven't seen the other videos that are a part of this three-part series, please click the link in the upper right-hand corner or the link in the description of this video to check those out. If you don't follow me on Instagram, please do. You can find me at Kirby Allison. This is really the best way to stay up to date as to what's going on here in our world. If you liked this video, make sure you check out our complete tutorial on how to take care of suede shoes. Suede is one of my favorite materials for a casual pair of shoes because they're so easy to maintain, but few people know the secrets to properly maintaining a pair of suede shoes, and I reveal these in our suede care tutorial video. Now, of course, this was a much more advanced edge and heel care tutorial. It doesn't have to take this long. If your edges and heels are in pretty good condition, then with just the cream and the wax polish like we show in the first installment of this series is really all that you need. If you liked this video, give us the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to Kirby Allison on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button so that you can join us here at Kirby Allison as a part of this community. Of course, I'm your host, Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for watching today.